I think
Well,
the sociologists, that I interviewed and cultural historians and so on, talk a lot about this sort of professionalization of motherhood. And I think what you have is a generation or two of very well-educated, unbelievably competent women. I mean, a lot of the women that I interviewed had, Harvard MBAs and law degrees, and they had quit these unbelievably high-powered careers to stay home with their kids. And they bring all of those attributes, the drive and the intelligence and the skills to this job that really, in many ways, to be quite honest, I don't mean to be offensive or anything, doesn't require it, And, what they bring, I mean, I've had women call me up and say, I'm going to kill myself because I just spent 4 hours in a meeting where these Harvard MBA moms were arguing about whether to sell, T-shirts or tote bags at the school auction, And I mean, it's just the life or death quality of intensity that they bring to this job that really, it's like what Judith Warner, and she wrote about this in the book Perfect Madness, about the mothers who pull all-nighters, staying up, hand-painting pictures on the paper plates that are going to be used to hand out snacks at the next day's soccer game. Right. If you think this is necessary, it's time for a reevaluation, and it puts a lot of pressure on everybody else.
Has it come about because of sort of boomer narcissism and a sort
it's
of
not
culture?
Boomers.
Well, but did it start there? I mean, I'm just trying to get at what sort of tips the culture over into this idea that a lot of it is safety issue. I mean, there are sort of practical reasons for this, but it's a mentality as well, Meg.
I think that there's a fear that there aren't enough places in elite society, and that there's this sort of fear that only the best will get ahead. I think that, in the 50s, it's true that motherhood, it wasn't so much that motherhood was idealized, like being a housewife was, but children didn't need to be gifted. You didn't hear mothers talking about, every child was so brilliant, needed to be in a special gifted program. It wasn't that way at all. It was the house and the home, the child was part of it. Now I think because there's a generalized anxiety about what will happen to my child in this world in which only, the top ones will get ahead, as though it's like Japan where you take that test and if, you don't pass it, forget it. I think that test is sort of coming here, and it's called the SAT.
Yeah.
So I think that has contributed to it a lot, this sort of anxiety and a sense that mothers might have an influence over how their children will do.
So it's demographic.
But it's not just about the kids and the needs of the kids. It's about the needs of the mothers. I mean, there's an emerging body now of social science research about the more long-term effects of what happens when, for lack of a better term, when helicopter moms have to see their kids grow up and leave home. And the New York Times did a fascinating piece a couple of months ago about how employers are having huge problems with these mothers because their kids grow up and move away and go to work, and this, you'll have a 29-year-old in some job and his mother will be calling the boss and saying, I want to arrange to have a special lunch delivered to my son. And this one mother said to the boss, I could introduce you to people in the community. I've been here for a long time. And the boss is like, this mother is truly insane and she really needs to stop calling me. And the reporter asked the 29-year-old son why his mother was so intrusive and bizarre. And he said, well, it's really a sad thing because she had a career and she gave it up to become a mother, and then her kids grew up and she doesn't know what to do with herself. And she can't stop. And they asked the mother about this, and she said, well, it's my job. I just want my children to be happy. And she really couldn't process the idea that at 29, how you make a, healthy, well-adjusted, whole kid who can function in the world is not to be doing this stuff. So I think it very much has to do with the mother's needs. They have given up other outlets of intellectual and creative satisfaction and achievement. And the thing that you realize when your kids get to be teenagers is that if you are living through your children at that point, you're in trouble because they have their own independent lives.
But